What's up, everyone? Doing another video recap of my August latte art focus. So this past week I was focusing on pouring tulips, and I was super excited to actually do this entire week because, as I said in my previous video, pouring stacks got really boring just because it was a lot of the same motion, and then tulips are a lot more dynamic, so it's a lot more fun, super engaging, but had its own set of challenges. So I want to talk about like what I really enjoyed, what I learned, and some of the challenges that I actually encountered. So I really enjoyed being able to pour a variety of patterns. I feel like with the previous week, to not harbor too long on like the previous week, just pouring the same thing over and over again, like it was pretty tough to like find a lot of variation. Whereas with tulips, like I was able to really practice like doing slower bases and also doing like, I think like maybe 1 or 2 pours, doing a faster wiggle base. So that was cool. And then just using like different techniques after the base to really develop my pattern, like that made it very engaging and fun. So some of the things that I learned was my symmetry is still kind of off, and it could potentially be because of the way that I hold my cup. Now I like holding my cup like this. So if I don't hold it by the handle, I actually hold it at like around the base of the cup. The reason why I like to do that is like when I am working on bar, or when I did work on bar a lot, it was a lot easier to place the cup down, and a lot of times you'll see baristas, when they pour their patterns, they will pour all the way to the top, and there's a lot of surface area, and it makes it like really tough for the guests. And I guess that's like the technically proper way to pour a beverage, even though it sucks as a guest to receive it that way, because most guests don't have like the steadiest hands, especially if they're walking back to their table, and it ends up just like breaking the surface tension and like the drink spills all over, which kind of sucks. But for me, when I would pour and creating that surface tension at the top, and then it was just a lot easier to place the actual like cup down that way, as opposed to holding it by the handle of the cup, because I have like chubby fingers, so my fingers would just get stuck, and then I would end up spilling everywhere. So that was not a very comfortable way to hold. So again, I think I'm having some symmetry issues, possibly because of how I hold the cup. Some other things that I learned, and these are kind of like the challenges that I encountered with this entire week, was I would want to like pour really complex patterns, and in a way it would like interfere with what I intentionally wanted to pour like before I even started. So because of that, like I would kind of lose focus, and in a weird way, it's like as you're pouring, like you kind of have to know, at least for me, like I have to know exactly what I'm going to be pouring, because if I get distracted, then all of a sudden like it throws me off. So there are a few times where I would overcomplicate the pattern because I would all of a sudden like have other ideas as I'm pouring, and it would just like really ruin my technique, and it would cause me to rush my pours, and in the end it would just really create like an ugly pattern. And yeah, I think I just ended up doing a lot more like simple pours than I wanted to, but at the same time, like, I wasn't mad at what I produced, you know, mainly because this whole like calendar series for me, it's not so much about like pouring the craziest things, but it's really to like get my mechanics fundamentals down and like really like refinding like my style in latte art. So it's been cool. This past week has been cool. It's also been kind of frustrating because I'm not really at like the place where I think I should be still. But at the same time, like, even though it is kind of like riding a bike, it's also in the same like analogy of riding a bike. Like, just because you can jump back on a bike doesn't mean that you can go on like a bike race or like do an Ironman challenge and like totally crush it. It's like, it's gonna take a lot more repetition, a lot more reps, and a lot more like training and focus. And at least this sets like a good foundation for me. And like, okay, if I really want to like work on certain mechanics of a latte art pattern, at least I know like where to start. Or if I really want to improve, like at least I know how to establish like a training like program for it, and to at least like set up this calendar and like stick to it shows like it's been demonstrated to me like, all right, cool, like I have like that discipline to stick to it. Because even at work, like right now we just hired like a few new team members, so that means like I'm working with them on bar, so I'm actually having like a decent amount of like bar time throughout the week as I work with our new team members. And even when I'm pouring beverages, like I'm sticking to my calendar. Like I'm not trying to like rush a pour just to like send out a drink. Like for me, I'm like, all right, cool, like this week is tulips, so like every single drink that I'm pouring is gonna be a tulip. And that's been cool to like be really like focused on that, because I've never done that before. And now I can kind of establish that with my team members that I do train, who really want to like improve in their latte art, and be like, all right, like if you really want to do it, like this is what I did and these are the steps that I took, so I think you should like do the same thing. I can set up a calendar for you, and I want you to like try to like you know, keep track of like your progress, whether it's through taking photos. Even though a lot of my team members that I do train, I always tell them like, don't ever take pictures of surface pours. Sorry, there's an airplane flying over. I always tell my team members like, don't take pictures of surface pours. One, it's like we're really trying to limit our phone use while on bar, but also it's like, I don't know, for me it's like this weird thing where you're making a beverage for someone else, and yet like we're taking a picture of it, and like most of the time we're taking a picture because like we want to feel good about ourselves. And yeah, like that's fine to like to be able to pour something cool, pour something nice, and like and to like take pride in that. But at the same time, like that should be like a gift for someone else, you know. It's kind of like if you were to, I don't know, like I think because I do view it as gift giving, and that's one of my love languages. It's like that shouldn't be something for you to hold on to. Like that should be for the recipient, and if they really enjoy it, awesome. And if they take a picture of it, like that should make you feel good. Like you're not gonna, I don't feel like you're gonna really look back on that like picture that you took. So that's what I always tell my team members, like, don't even do it. Like, it's not for you, it's for someone else. Now, if you're practicing's for you. So if you're doing practice and you pour something cool, like, go ahead, take a picture of it, and then hold on to that, you know. So it's my little rant about not taking pictures of your service pours. If you do that and you're like a well-established barista, like, cool, that's like your thing. But for me and my team, I always tell them, don't take pictures of your service pours. You know, if you're on bar dialing in and you make yourself a drink, snap a picture of that. Like, that's for you. Like, drink up, you know. So that's kind of a little bit about like my recap on pouring tulips. I do get one more shot the very last week of August to pour every single pattern. So I'm hoping by then I can like pour some like really complex, cool things. But for now, this week I am focusing on Rosettas. Super excited about it because aesthetically they are my favorite patterns. It's really hard to cover up mistakes, so it really takes like really solid mechanics, and this is the one that like I've been wanting it. Like, this is the week I've been waiting for because I really want to like iron out my mechanics and be able to like really have a strong grasp of making the proper adjustments, because I'm sure I'm gonna encounter like one of my team members who might also be having like symmetry problems. Like, symmetry for me, well, maybe it's not so much a symmetry problem, because like when it comes to the actual shape and pattern in the cup, I'm like symmetrical around all sides. It's more of an alignment problem. So I guess like disregard a bunch of the things that I said before. It is more of an alignment problem, so I'm not pouring straight down the middle consistently, you know. So that's something that I'm gonna be working on. I think it's just gonna be a lot more like being very disciplined with my form. And again, I talk a lot about like basketball. Basketball's a sport that I played my whole life, and again, like when you have your form set and you try to switch it up, like that's when you just encounter all sorts of problems. So I think for me, it's just gonna be, again, like setting my form, finding what really works, and then being very disciplined in like using that form every single time. So don't want to make this video longer than it should be. I'm gonna cut it here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for keeping up. If you haven't, check out my Instagram. The handle's gonna be posted at the bottom at the end of this video. Follow along. You know, it's been really cool for me, and I've received like some cool comments from like friends and some people who've been engaging with like this whole series for me. So thank you so much for the encouragement. It's been really helpful to me, and I will catch you all later. See ya.